English, which is not as fluent as I wish it was. And I also must confess that I'm a bit worried about the fact that a lot of interesting ideas have already been expressed here yesterday. And there is not so much room to add new ideas. So, nevertheless, I'll try. But just before starting, just a few words about Sport and Citizenship Association. It is an association created in France in 2007. It works like a think tank gathering about 50 experts in different fields, and it works just like a network. It's a scientific committee, has already treated questions, different questions, in a review which is published about 3 times a year, and we have addressed questions like sports and health, sports and environment, sports and voluntary work, and good governance in sport, for example. My objective this morning would be to emphasize on the decrease of physical activity among people, especially young people, which give us an extra motivation to try to introduce physical activity in daily life. I will also try to express some views on the links between physical activity and citizenship, although the subject has been very well treated and analyzed previously. And to finish, I will mention just some good, but also not so good experiences in France. So, first, we all know there is a persistent decrease in physical activity among the population of Western countries, especially among young people. For young people, there are 3 main reasons for this situation. At school first. 10 years ago, a study conducted by the University of Manchester shows that physical education is in a critical situation in all regions in the world, and with a significant decrease in time dedicated to it observed everywhere. It's not only in Europe, but everywhere in the world. And later on, in the frame of the Council of Europe, at a meeting of the European ministers responsible for sport in Warsaw in September 2002, the ministers were presented a synthesis report, which particularly underlined a frequent gap between policies officially adopted by governments and the reality of the programs. There is a gap, a discrepancy, which indicate that there is, in reality, a reduction of the hours dedicated to sport, which shows a decrease in importance given to physical education and a lowering of the status of sport and physical activity at school because of the priority given to other disciplines. In the fierce competition for good results at school, there is always a tendency to put physical education on the side of the road, you know, and that's explained probably part of this reduction. If you go to a bit more detail, one can see a persistent orientation towards sport-dominated competitive performance in the related activity programs, which doesn't suit a lot of people, and which is also contrary to societal trends, tendencies in out-of-school activities. So the ministers expressed a strong preoccupation about this situation, and they recommended a new political and institutional approach for physical education and sport. Some more figures on this point.
in a study conducted by the University of Worcester in 2007. It was a study commissioned by the European Parliament. It pointed at the fact that physical education is at risk of growing marginalization as time allocated to has been reduced since 2002. It was in 2007 from 121 minutes to 109 minutes per week for primary schools, and from 117 minutes to 101 minutes for secondary school. It's an average, but you see that the decline is very sharp between 5 years. So the Parliament, European Parliament, issued a report on the role of sports in education and expressed some recommendation in order to improve the situation. So we are in a kind of paradoxical situation with a physical education at school, which everywhere is decreasing, and on the other hand, efforts to reintroduce physical activity in everyday life. This is not a congruent and a consistent policy. I think that there is somewhere a contradiction, and we could maybe exchange on that point later on. Always for children, if you know now, observe what's going on the leisure time, you can see a strong tendency to spend an increasing time also in front of computers. In a survey, an international survey conducted in 2007-2006 at the University of Edinburgh, this survey took into consideration 39 European countries, including also US and Canada, and it indicates that in average less than 25% of children between 11 and 13 or 15 years practice at least 15 minutes of moderate or intense daily physical activity as it is recommended by WHO. There are a significant difference in terms of daily physical activity between countries, and this ranks from 1 to 3, which is quite important. But there is no geographical influence. In all countries, boys are more active than girls, and youngest people more active than the eldest. There is no doubt that this situation results from the fact that young people spend an increasing time of their leisure time in front of television and daily computers. This tendency, obviously, will be very difficult to reverse, as television, computers, and the internet occupy now a very large part in our daily life. There is no special reason of change in the future. So, even for some young people, internet has become quite an addiction. Nowadays, youngsters are 40% less active than they used to be 30 years ago. In France, for example, children spend an average of 2 hours in front of television each day, and 51 minutes per day in front of a computer. And this quantity of time increases with age. So there is no much room for physical activity. And to some extent, I would say that children do not enjoy anymore physical activity, or at least they don't enjoy it so much as they used to do before. So it is very important that at school